and I've tweeted about it today and spoke about it on other shows. I'm heavily disappointed in Ineos that they've left the squad short. I think it was the right thing to do to let him go, but we have 4 attackers now, 2 of which don't score. 1 we're not sure if the club wants, and then there's Ahmad, and it's an awful amount of pressure on him. It doesn't appear like we're going to, but I think we should maybe take an academy player or 2 out so they start getting some game time. And it's an interesting one because a lot of United, I wanted a body, but I don't just want us to waste money either. So I'm in this like weird place of, I wish we got Tell. I like him. I wanted us to go and break Eucharist's release clause as an example. That I wanted that. Players that I know we really are after as a club. What I'm happy we haven't done is what we've seen Chelsea just try and rectify. Oh, we can't get the striker that we want. Oh, let's get João Felix and waste money on him and then get rid of him 6 months later. So there's elements I'm frustrated with, but I'm also happy that we're not doing what we have done in previous January windows where you end up without Weghorst and you waste, because it still costs you money. It might cost you 5 million in a loan fee and in salary, and that eats into the budget for other players. So I'm heavily frustrated that we didn't execute this window to the best of our ability. At the same time, I'm happy that we haven't panic bought and gone and dropped, I don't know, £20 million to Crystal Palace and taken Edouard or someone like that. Because that's the kind of thing we've done before. And that would just be, but that's the kind of thing we've done. And we'd waste the money. And we'd all go, oh, maybe here at United we'll get more chances. And we all thought that with Weghorst. Oh, I know he didn't do well at Burnley, but maybe he can come here. It's all a waste of money. So it's a very frustrating January window from an incoming point of view for the club. And, Amorim's got his work cut out now.
You got a couple secret weapons in the squad, though, Terry.
We've got a couple of secret weapons.
Yeah, you got them 2 Halem boys. You got the one you signed in summer, the one you just signed. You're good, bruv. You can put
he actually might play now that Martinez.
He actually could get a start. What's it, the Nigerian boy?
He may. Listen, I wouldn't even mind. Listen, Martin still looks really raw, but I wouldn't mind. Listen, we tried Mainu in a false 9 position yesterday, and look, we lost the game, so it got a lot of stick. I wasn't as angry about him trying it as some people are sort of pretending to be online. We've seen other managers in the Premier League take midfielders and play them in false 9s and it work. And ironically, we had a couple of really good chances to go ahead. If we'd have gone ahead and we'd have won the game, everyone would have said he was a genius, right? And there's always that fine line. But for me, I look at it and think I'd rather give Obi Martin a game. We're either going to be as bad or better. So at least give him an opportunity. Like for me, I would be going to the academy now and saying, right, you young man, you're being promoted. We're going to give you some game time. That's what I would do. Again, and not even just the Arsenal boys that we've brought in, but we've got a young midfielder in there, Kone, that looks very, very talented. Give them some game time. We've got Harry Amas that plays in a left wing back role. Again, I just want to see him given a chance. We're very short now, but that's what I would do.
If you do that, it is going to come with a lot of pain and suffering. And I don't think your fan base are going to be able to withstand.
But it already is pain and suffering, though.
No, I get that. But throwing in a bunch of kids, having them develop, there's going to be so many errors throughout that, and it's going to put a lot more pressure on a manager who's just walked in through the door. I'm already seeing.
I hear that.
Not at Man United, though. Sorry, Kunle, not at Man United. So the people you're talking about online, you're right, but those people. Let me just tell you this now. Those Man United fans online, typically, especially the ones that are nameless and faceless, we could be on course for a treble and they'd find something to moan about because they get engagement through negativity. So
even our buddy Dan.
Dan's an anomaly here, right? Dan's an anomaly. Dan thinks what he thinks, right? And that's it. But the vast majority of Man United fans, if Obi Martin, Kone, and Amas were promoted to the first team squad and were playing, there would be
excited.
There would be excitement. There'd be more leeway and there'd be more encouragement of, okay, come on, lads. Like we know you're young. We know you're inexperienced. We're going to give you that kind of that time to be nurtured and develop. That's not the same pressure as a £72 million signing who's been here 18 months and can't control the ball. So the scrutiny would be different. Of course, you're right. There's some people online like Danny who want Amorim gone already, doesn't trust Ineos. Fair enough. At the same time, if you don't trust Ineos, I wouldn't be calling for the manager to be sacked because who they're going to replace him with? Someone else you don't like? That's another conversation for another day that I can't speak about because Danny's not here and I'd love to ask him some questions. But the noisy people online, remember, these are the same people that said if we sack Ten Hag, we'll improve. They're the same people that said Ollie had a title-winning squad. As soon as he gets sacked, we're winning the league. It's the same people that said that Paul Pogba was a virus, and once he's gone, you'll see our club fly. no one really takes them seriously in the Man United fan base because they've been wrong about so much. In fact, they're wrong about nearly everything into their overarching point. It's all just about engagement for them. So, and that's not Danny, by the way. Danny has a view of the way the club's being run poorly, and I respect that because at least he actually makes a point, explains it, and then gives a conclusion and a solution to what he wants to happen. Most of the time, it's just very airy-fairy. Sack the manager, bring in a better coach, we'll be fixed. I mean, we've been saying that for 11 years and it's never worked, yet they want to keep repeating the same thing. And I heard a United fan say this on I think it was on the Stretford paddock the other day. They were asked a question, should Amorim be adapting to the players? And this young man that was on there, he's like an academy expert. He also looks very strange. He looks like Park Ji-sung and Scott McTominay had a baby together.
I saw that. I did.
Yeah. When I read that, I was like, oh my God, he does, right? But he's very knowledgeable. And he just said something that was very well articulated. And it was simply put, for 11 years, we've continued to watch managers adapt to the players and it's failed each time. We should just do the opposite this time round. And that's the headspace I'm in. So you get comments like this. It says, Terry, so the window was closed. Rashford and Anthony are out and not replaced. Please spin this as to how Ineos have done a masterclass and have a clear plan. But I haven't and I won't. So when you asked me about this 3 or 4 weeks ago, I said that if they do a bad job, I'll criticize it. But me criticizing a bad window or me seeing a bad window doesn't mean I'm going to throw baby out with the bathwater and change my complete stance on them as of now. City, I believe, have just had a brilliant transfer window. But the only reason they spent in this January and went so big is because the previous 3 or 4 were poor. You can have bad windows and you can make mistakes. They'll be criticized, but I'm going to judge them over a longer period of time. That's my stance. I could end up being right about that. I could end up being wrong about it, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. However, when it comes to what we're speaking about here in the management of the club, I don't want us to do things that we've done time and time again and failed. I want us to implement a style of play. I want us to build the squad with the profiles that make that work over a period of time. And the interesting thing for me, which I don't think fans are ignoring, is Amorim told us this was going to happen. He literally said between now and the first 6 months, 7 months, we are going to get exposed. We're going to have many painful days. There's going to be loads of ups and downs. And for the next year or so, it's going to be horrible. But he says after that, you will then see the fruits of that labor. He says if we just sort of adapt to the players now and play a way of getting the best results possible, it will work for a short period of time. But in 18 months, we're back here again. And that's why I have a little bit of trust in this. Not in everything Ineos do, but I have a little bit of trust in it because the man has predicted exactly how it's gone. I thought he was being a little bit cautious. Turns out he's been absolutely spot on. And then the more you research it and the more of the experts you listen to, changing a club's style of football mid-season the way we are is a ridiculously hard job, and it creates problems like this. So I'm just not going to panic at this point. The criticism of this January is spot on. Loads of players aren't good enough. But there was a tweet earlier on today from a lady called Rachel, who's a United fan. And I believe in this wholeheartedly at this particular moment in time. I want to read it out, and then I'm going to shut up talking about United. And she said, new manager comes in. This is pre-season. We need to be patient. Manager's first game. Oh, we need new players for his system. A couple of months later, manager out. That's a cycle of Man United fans every single time. So for me, the reason I'm pushing back against it, forget Ineos for a moment, forget it's Amorim. I'm pushing back against a cycle that has seen 6 failed managers on the bounce. I want to do it different. At least because it might end up in a better scenario, not following the same pattern again and again and again. I don't get it.
Well, it is.
Crazy.
I understand where you're at because I think I'm in a very similar situation with Tottenham. I feel like you just have to persist with a manager to get, like, you have to get through the really bad times with a manager to then come out on a better side with regards to the squad, the team, and everything as a club as a whole. And I feel like probably like I think some United fans aren't taking into the fact that it is. They always said it was going to be a process, and Amorim said when he came in, straight from the jump, I'm not going to work miracles. I cannot just make this team into a competitive team. I'm not that manager. You know, you have certain managers out there that can lift the floor of a team from here to here, and they look great. Lifting the floor of a team is great, but sometimes those managers can't get the best. When they do have a great squad together, they don't really know what to do with that squad because they're just about getting the best out of the players available. Yeah. Now, I think Amorim, you're starting to see he's got one of those players in Patrick Dorgu, who I think it improves the whole system because the way that he plays and the way that he's going to fill in, it's going to give Manchester United one side of that pitch where they can really overload. You know, let's just say that left-hand side of the pitch, they know Dorgu's down on that side. You know, let's just say Diallo goes there. I know he doesn't play on the left very often, but let's just say he does for example. You can overload that left-hand side of the pitch, and you know, guaranteed, when you're going forward, that's the side of the pitch that's going to be better. That's going to be creative. That's going to be attacking. So for Man United fans, just need to get
position.
Yeah, that's
they've got Martinez's injury to deal with now as well because he's out for the rest of the season.
I think look, and people just need to be patient with
he's done his ATL. Romano said it about an hour ago.
He's done.
You know,
they've just got to be patient with Amorim to like you said, so he's not going to implement the full style of the way that he wants to play. But the players that do stay for next season and the season, those players are going to grow so much more. And that so when he does play his system, they're probably going to be your key players.
And for that fact, George. Sorry, quickly. I'd say, if I'm a Man U fan, I'm kind of like the window year has been rubbish. The summer's been rubbish. Let's keep it a buck. But I'm kind of in the sense of where over the last couple of years, I've been looking at this football thing, and what I've noticed is a lot of managers are relying on windows a lot. There's not enough coaching with what you've got going on, and so I'd be, as a Man U fan, I'd be wanting them to look within the squad and bred in some youth players, even if it's just a style of play we have. At least I've got some people that know what it's like, what it means to play for Manchester United, other than the players that I keep giving a clean slate. There's loads of players in your squad that we all know that they're rubbish. They don't deserve a clean slate. You should be rather trying it out with these youngsters and then breeding them into the team and forcing Amorim to actually coach these players and having a big summer in window at the end of the season. That's what I think.
Prioritize the Europa League because that's your route into the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, look, potentially, and I think we've got to prioritize staying up first, but which I think we will, to be fair. And yeah, look, we've not been bad in the Champions League. Sorry, the Europa League this year, and there is an opportunity there, and we'll see what the draw looks like, and we'll give it a go. But I agree with both of you, George and Kunle. Like, I'm just in that space, and there's an interesting comment that came through that I want to read because I'd like to interact with the viewers. It says, Terry, you called for all those managers to be sacked, but what you're doing there, Rumble, is you're removing the context of my rationale. So one, I never said that sacking any of those managers would by itself fix us. And this is what we're talking about here. I was never part of the Ollie in, Ollie out, Jose in, Jose out, Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out crew, because those people are liars and charlatans. I said that the sacking and appointment of all those managers and the new people that came in was, if we don't create a structure, implement a set style of football. And I always said I didn't care what the style of football was. I have my own preference, but I'm objective about it. You need to build a squad for that manager, but then you need to have a plan that lives beyond that manager. So the next person comes in, picks up the mantle, like slotted Liverpool as an example, and you move on. The reason why Jose had to go is because of the toxic relationship developed between him and his players. Untenable, as an example. Ollie, for me, reached the maximum level that he could. And if you go back and watch the video when he was sacked, it was on the Man United website, and they spoke about how we built the squad, we built the structure, we were ready to go to another level. And then we bring in Ten Hag, start rebuilding it in a completely different way instead of continuing that process, and it falls apart. Then Ten Hag tells us he was never going to try and implement the style of play that he's famed for. And we got new owners come in, and I said, so based on him not implementing what he's famed for, and new owners that nearly always want their own manager, the best thing to do is start again from scratch and wipe everything out. So don't misquote why I said things. And in life, toaster people go with the what. The football terrace people go with the why. Why did I say what I said? What is the context behind it? So good attempt, Rumble, but no, I was never part of those in-out groups because they're all just wrong when it comes to Manchester United in a catastrophically bad way. They really are. Joshua Jack here says, I'd be real. Ruben should walk. The board knows our attack is arse, and they have been wanting to get rid of Anthony and Rashford, been unhappy for a while, and have been auditing Garnacho. How is it supposed to work? Do you know what I would say to that? If you don't believe that there is a long-term plan that's going to work, Josh, then I think what you've said there holds water. I'm not going to challenge it. But if Amorim, or if you're a Man United fan that thinks, look, we know what we're doing, if he's aware it's going to be a quiet month, and come the summer it's going to improve, PSR, I'm just using an example, then no, don't walk. But if your thought is right and there is no plan and we're going to scrimp and scrape for the next 3 or 4 summers and Januaries and barely spend, then I think your opinion holds water, my friend. How is Amorim bringing in youngsters when he hasn't even figured out He's system good, recipe for disaster, and no United wants a relegation battle. I mean, it's about bodies, though, isn't it, as well? I mean, we have number 9s that play in our under 23s and in our under 18s. If we're struggling with strikers, I don't see the harm in giving one of them an opportunity. I'm not saying start them away at Anfield, right? But give them an opportunity to play in some games, I feel.